Hello, I'm Doug, and this is the Taste and Sensibility channel. And today we're honey review number 30, but we're not actually reviewing honey. We're going to be looking at various foods where honey is an ingredient. So honey is being cooked in or included or in the recipe of various foods that we're checking out here today. So some are snacks, some are desserts, some are breakfasty. And I tried to get this amazing honey ginger glazed pork chop for Mr. B's Bistro, but it did not work out. But I do have another restaurant stop or two in there. But these are just going to be foods that are made with honey from at home, grocery stores, restaurants. It'll just be a compilation. But first, we're going to check out this little snack here. So if you like this video or like the other videos that we've been doing on honey, then give it a thumbs up. Leave some comments down below. Subscribe to the channel. And click that bell icon for notifications whenever new videos are posted on Mondays and Thursdays. All those things help the channel grow. So I don't usually eat this sort of thing. I try to stay away from this much salt, but this is an interesting mix of honey mustard glaze, almonds, cashews, pecan pieces, pepitas, which I think are pumpkin seeds, peanuts, and dried edamame. So this was just a protein mix in a sporting goods store. I was buying a poncho for a music festival, so we have in my camera bag, and saw this and thought I needed one more honey food. I've tasted this already, and the honey is faint, but it's in there. It's like, the smell of honey roasted peanuts plus a little mustard powder. So this is pretty good overall, I thought. But it never did make it into my camera bag for being a snack at the festival like I thought it would. So these are all kind of greenish and powdery coated. The mustard and salt jump out first. And you can tell there's a sweetness. The sweetness itself doesn't scream honey, but the overall effect with the nuts in there makes you think, oh, they're honey roasted things. But it's certainly not a strong flavor. So it's not overly salty, and it's not overly mustardy, so it's really a pretty nice mixture. The nuts are nice and crunchy, and you can tell some are pecans and some are peanuts. So it works out pretty well. So that would be a good snack to have along on some hike or music thing where you can't always get around to the food. And the honey is probably used fairly sparingly. It doesn't scream honey, but I think I can tell it's in there. So now we're going to go on to a compilation of different clips that I've done on all the other foods, and I'll see you at the end. So another segment of honey in food or honey in cuisine is yogurt and honey. So I went around to a few stores, dug up some of the honey flavored yogurts, not just flavored, but honey should be an ingredient in there. And so I've got these 4 different commercial yogurts, and then I've got a breakfast over here that I often prepare for myself that's mostly yogurt and has some honey in it, so we'll take a look at that at the end. So this is a Trader Joe's Greek yogurt, 0% milk fat, honey flavor. This is a Faya, 2% milk fat, honey flavor. Oh look, honey's in a little separate compartment, so I'll have to dump that in. I usually test things before, and these are all blind. I haven't opened these or tested these or anything. This is Noosa honey yogurt. This is full fat treatment, whole milk. And then this is Oui from Yoplait, honey, French style, full fat, whole milk. So we'll just go through these and see if any tasting standouts hit us. And I'll tell you what I find. Now that I'm all tuned up on tasting honey, I should have some opinions about these things. So this is a little fluid. There's nothing on the bottom to mix up. So everything should be in there. It's a little tart from the yogurt acids. in the cultures. The honey's not strong, but it's there. There's not enough for me to tell what kind of honey it is. So it's just a very gentle sweetening effect. It's so thick. This is made with skim milk. Trader Joe's. Pasteurized skim milk, pasteurized honey. Active cultures. Wow. Wow, that's very simple and plain. A few additives. Very lightly sweetened. It counteracts some of the acid from the yogurt. You can tell it's honey, but it doesn't go too far. It's not sickeningly sweet. A lot of people wouldn't say it's sweet at all. It's just been lifted above the acid tartness. So that's pretty good. That's the kind of stuff I usually have for breakfast. So that's good to know about. Next one's going to be a little more clumsy because I don't do this. I think you dump in fruits and salads and nuts and things into most of these. So let's see what we have. Okay, both compartments are exposed. All natural, 2%. They just say honey. They don't specify what kind. So let's see if I can dump this guy in here. This is going to take all day, isn't it? Good thing I can edit. I think there's going to be half the honey stuck to the inside of the container. Can you imagine a kid in a car spilling this all over the place? This is not going to be a parent favorite. Okay, so I've got 98% of the honey out of the little pouch packet container thing, and I'm trying to mix it in. I think it's mixed up enough to try to sample it. Oh wow, very honey-like, very honey-like. Cinnamon notes like I get from the clovers. That would be an easy, consistent honey for them to get a hold of and not have it change in their taste profile. That's good. It's sweetened very well. Enough fat for the mouthfeel. I think this zero fat yogurt must be thickened. No, it wasn't, was it? I don't know how they do that. I was going to accuse them of putting in gums and thickeners and gelatin. And they don't. This is very good. The honey is the standout flavor. I don't taste any of the acidy tart notes from the yogurt. And the honey flavor is strong, rich, full, cinnamony, like the best of the clover honeys. That was a very good combination. I'm going to want to eat the whole thing. But I really need to move on. That's a standout. Fire. Next, we're moving on to Noosa. Should have brought rinse water. I'm going to have some sort of shirt disaster here in a second. Wow. That's just to get down to the seal. So when I'm at home by myself and opening yogurt, I'm always doing a lot of lid licking, but I will spare you that part. But I'm going to save this for later. Grab another spoon. Wow, it smells. Smell the yogurty, sour tartness, dairy. And I smell some honey. So this is going to be like a dessert. It's so thick and rich. Wow. Thick. Fat slides right down. Honey flavor is more muted and restrained. It's not half as strong as this one. It is similar to that one in intensity, but the whole mouthfeel and sensation thing is different than either of these two. It's so thick. Wow, it's very nice. Might be useful in a recipe where you need a yogurt. It's more of a sensation than a taste thing. It's a mouthfeel explosion and orgasm. Okay, last one here of the commercial honeys. What is this? French style yogurt. I hadn't seen, I know the brand Yoplait, but I was surprised that they had another version when I was picking these out. And this is only 5 ounces. Pasteurized grated milk, cane sugar, organic honey, natural flavor, pectin, yogurt cultures. So I passed by quite a few honey flavored yogurts because there was cane sugar and brown sugar before the honey in the ingredient list. So I was not optimistic that the honey flavor would come through well. Ooh, this is thick and rich. I smell a little of the honey notes in there. Puffy like air. A good dairy taste. Not sour. I think the sugar is sweetening it. It's kind of a marshmallowy taste, like there's some vanilla or something in here. It's not that. It's coming from the honey, I think. Honey flavor, not strong. Interesting texture. But it's not going to be in the Honey Hall of Fame. So, that's it for the commercial yogurts with honey in them. So these two are really the standouts here. This one is great for mouthfeel and a little honey flavor, but very subtle and restrained. This one, you can tell it's honey and that's about it. This one was the star if you're looking for honey flavor. Wow. 2% total, they call it. But the last item I'm going to do is show you a breakfast I commonly make, which is 8 ounces of some vanilla yogurt from a quart-size container. And I don't really care what brand it is. I might grab some when I'm walking through Whole Foods. I might grab it in Walmart and get great value. And I'm usually going for 2% milk fat, not the full fat, not the skim milk. So it's 8 ounces of some vanilla or plain yogurt. And then I dump in 50 grams, a couple ounces of vanilla granola or whatever I have in the house. Slice up a whole banana in it and then drizzle. Nowadays it's mostly mesquite honey from Trader Joe's. So I drizzle some kind of honey, and I've had a good supply of honey to do this with. So this turns out to be a good filling breakfast where I don't think about lunch until 11, 12 o'clock. So I am just mixing this up now to get everything kind of integrated and mixed up so nothing really stands out. But it is a vanilla flavored granola. It's a vanilla flavored yogurt. So there's a lot for the banana and grainy stuff. It's going to be a lot for the honey to compete with. The vanilla is strong, but the honey flavor is too. So there's a couple of tablespoons of mostly mesquite honey from Trader Joe's. So the honey is a perfectly integrated and reasonable part of this concoction. And honey gets along with food lots of different ways. So continuing on with our honey and food or honey and cuisine explorations, got a couple of nut butters here. So there's Justin's honey peanut butter and Justin's honey almond butter that I was going to try. These are real small packs, like for a lunchbox or camping or whenever you need an individual portion. And I think the almond is going to be the milder, more nuanced, subtle flavor. So I'm already been kneading the packet here as I fidget and play. But I'm going to do this one first and see how it tastes. It's a very plain cracker down here. But when I was reading the ingredients, it said organic honey powder was the second ingredient after almonds. Organic evaporated cane sugar is one thing, and organic honey is the other thing. And they put those together and get a powder. Very interesting. And the peanut butter has something different. So we'll get into all that. I just want to spread it on this very plain cracker. think it says Caro right before I smeared it. So there's not much taste, there's not much salt, there's not much flavor. I'll just put that aside, finish it up later. And the cracker is not going to contribute much of anything except starch. And I will taste how the almond butter sweetened with honey and cane sugar tastes. Definitely almondy, nutty. There's a little touch of salt and a little touch of sweetness that you're expecting from most commercial nut butter. I haven't been able to pick up the honey nuts very well in my times before with this, but today I am. There is a little bit of a honey note. It's very small, very far back, and I certainly couldn't tell what kind of honey it is. On the peanut butter, the ingredients are a little different. Roasted peanuts, organic honey, organic cane sugar, peanut oil, palm oil, salt. Don't always tear it cleanly, do they? So I'll just work with it. So I think most people are expecting a little touch of salt and a touch of sweetness in their peanut butter or cashew butter or other things. Much more aroma for sure. Peanuts. Sweetness, saltiness. Can I tell it's honey? If I really concentrate, I can convince myself it's honey. It's also fairly fluid and runny, and compared to big national brand peanut butters. So that whole pack is going to be pretty gooey and runny and doesn't open right, and I don't know if I would give that to kids in the car. Nope. But the taste is okay. Don't like lots of concoctions containing honey. They're almost saying it to say they can say it. I'm not sure it's a big player in the taste at all. Okay, I'm in a cool little joint in New Orleans called Liuzza's by the Track. So I can taste their honey pepper dressing. So a salad's going to come with the honey pepper dressing, and I'll tell you how it is. Hey, thank you. There's the dressing, honey pepper. So I don't think they mean black pepper. I think they mean red hot spicy peppers. There's seeds, there's chunks of red. It's a pretty simple salad, but it's got some good cheese on it. And now I see the black pepper maybe in the dressing. So let's find out if I can tell the honey. Cucumbers, greens, some kind of shaved cheese. Purple things, red things, radicchio, leaf lettuce, and some spinach. Yeah, the dressing is very zippy. There's a sweetness to it, but I can't tell it's from honey. I can tell the peppers. Yeah, it's a good balance. You wouldn't want it much sweeter. I wouldn't. It's a good savory and sweet combination with lots of red pepper and black pepper flavor. Somewhat reminiscent of Kraft Catalina by being spicy and sweet. The sweetness is dialed back a little bit, and the spicy is dialed up, that's for sure. It's hard to dissect the spiciness. There's certainly red pepper in there. I'm not sure I'm detecting the black pepper because there's so many other flavors. I see lots of black specks in the dressing. But it could be something else. So I don't think the salad's worth $5.99, $5.95. It's very good. You might be interested in the dressing. Purchasing it for home. Okay, so that was the main point of my field trip, is to taste that dressing. And it's good, but underwhelming. I didn't really get any honey notes. I didn't really get any honey notes. There was a sweetness, but I couldn't tell what from. I couldn't tell what kind of honey. I might look into it further, see if they sell the dressing separately, because they trademarked it. Okay, the next item we're looking at in this Honey in Cuisine feature is this 3-layered cornbread that I got from this book, the Cornbread Gospels. I'll put a link to the Amazon page for this. But I'm a big corn freak and a big cornbread freak, and this book appealed to me, and I found this honey-containing recipe called Land of Milk and Honey Custard Layered Cornbread. This is not like a cornbread bready thing that you would have, serving with ham and beans or serving with a meal as the bread portion. You'd have to look at the cornbread more as a casserole, a starchy casserole, than as traditional cornbread. But it turned out the way she said, with the corn kernels and bran on top and a little crusty bottom. It struck me more as a pie crust than as a cornbready crust. And it certainly didn't brown at all at the bottom, and there is an eggy custard in between, so it is 3 layers. It turned out that way, and I would experiment with it being in a little smaller pan to make this thing deeper. So I'm going to try this. Very corny. These are fresh corn kernels on top, and they're sweet. And corny, and the custardy stuff in the middle tells you it's egg. And there is a sweetness that comes from the honey. The corn kernels on top have their own sweetness, and the honey down below has its kind of sweetness. So this would fill the slot in the dinner where some people would do a corn pudding. This is that sort of dish. Starchy, corny, some butter in the recipe. The honey's not jumping out at me. I can taste it, but it's really the corn that's the star. But because it's cooked at home, you can control the amount of honey or other things in there. And so if you're looking for more honey flavor, you could put in another third as much or 2/3 as much or however much you want. And get dial in the honey to taste the way you want it to. Well, that's the advantage of cooking things yourself. So I like the recipe and I like the result, and I might play around with this a little bit more and get some other flavors in here. It's a little bit more honey. So that's it for that one. Next item here on our food and honey exploration, or honey in cuisine, is wing sauces. So the first one I'm looking at is a commercial one that I just saw wandering through a grocery store from Schlotterbeck and Foss of Westbrook, Maine. It's called Honey Buffalo. What a surprise. And just going by the ingredient list, which has some other prepared sauces, so they're mixing a pepper sauce with canola or soybean oil, apple cider vinegar, and honey, butter, tamari, which I've used in a different one, mustard brand, wait a minute, never heard of mustard brand, and then a Worcestershire sauce, sea salt, molasses. So honey is fairly high up on the ingredient list, and I've tasted this before. Had some yesterday. It was pretty spicy. I liked it. So I baked these in the oven, and I'm just gonna give you my notes on how it tastes as a wing sauce. So I found honey, I found a lot more pepper and spice. There's a nice red pepper taste. Certainly a sweetness to the sauce. A sour vinegary note. And that's consistent with what I just read. I'm going to have so much stuff in my mustache. So this is good and complex and sweet, but mostly peppery. Very high quality, tasty sauce, complex, well put together. So I'm a fan of this one. So I can't say that the honey jumps out, but I can see where it's contributing to the overall flavor of the mixture here. There aren't any other sugars. There aren't any other sugars higher up on the list than the honey. So sweetness must come from peppers or tomatoes or that honey. So I'm a fan of this. Now the other wing sauce was a homemade one from a recipe in a honey cookbook that I have right here. And I've talked about this Laurie Masterton fresh honey cookbook before. And this was actually a rib recipe. On page 138 it says California style baby back ribs with sage honey. They have a very good sauce here made of tamari, which is a less salty Japanese soy sauce. Half a cup of honey, garlic cloves, and ribs. That was the whole recipe. So I've got a little chili sauce and I use the Trader Joe's, mostly mesquite honey, and mix it together in roughly those proportions. And got a very good tasting sauce. Thing after thing after thing interfere with the ribs cooking properly. And I ate half of it. But it didn't turn out the way it was supposed to. But I loved the sauce, and I put it together just to be a wing sauce. And that's what we're tasting here. So it's a little thinner than a lot of wing sauces, so a lot of it runs off. But it does still have some cling and stick to the wings. Salty. Sweet. I upped the ratio of honey to the soy sauce after my first try, and knowing it was going on wings. So, not getting all the saltiness and all the spice and all the sweet that I thought I would from this recipe, mostly because it's too thin. Okay, this wing's doing a little better. Very worthwhile. Okay. This is a more successful wing sauce than this that I made from Laurie Masterton's rib recipe. This is wonderful. I'm still tasting the heat from this. This is good, but it won't be as interesting to people. One for their side. Move along. So the next segment of Honey and Food, or Honey and Cuisine here, is desserts, sweets. So I've got a couple of samples of baklava from two different stores. I was set up to go to a restaurant, got there with all my camera equipment and stuff, and was about to order two desserts, and the guy said they don't use honey in their baklava. They use a rose water syrup, simple syrup. So I remember the flavor of the rose water there, but I had no idea that was the only sweetener in it. So we wound up with two store-bought baklavas for this sampling. But what we have here is a couple different kinds from Whole Foods, which are here. Comes in a little plastic container like this. And we have a couple kinds from my local grocery store with a good bakery. I don't eat sweets and desserts a lot, so I'm not a good judge of what a good bakery is. So I was just going to cut into these and show you the insides. So I can discuss a little bit about the Whole Foods recipe. They've got, this is on it. You get 4 pieces for $4.99. And they were smaller than these pieces over here, and it seems to be less goo than these pieces over here. But the ingredients list is on the back. So their phyllo dough, it says here, is whole wheat flour, unenriched, unbleached, clover honey, pistachios for this particular type, canola oil, and natural orange blossom water, sea salt. So the orange blossom water ought to be interesting. You would think you'd be able to taste it here. I don't know if I'm better off using a fork or not using a fork. So I'm going to try just the little plain triangle first. Flaky dough. Sweetness, nuttiness, pistachios. I can tell it's honey, but I can't tell what kind. And then the orange blossom water, it throws in a confusing flavor. So it's nice and pleasant. And the phyllo dough is flaky, as you would expect. And it is just, it's a sweet, it's a dessert. Now I'm trying the bird's nest type. This one has I can tell the honey's in there. And these nuts are cashews on this side. The honey's not really strong. So there's the sweetness, the dough is interesting, the nuts are interesting. There's the sweetness, but you can't tell it's honey. So it'd be easy to cheat or use something else as a sweetener and people may not notice. Mouth cleanse. Now, these are bigger. They have more goo. I'm always going through this grocery store for other things. Whiskey, mezcal, rum. And I noticed that they have a bakery. And sometimes it looks pretty good. I haven't ever bought anything there before, but when I was looking around for baklava in grocery store bakeries, they had it. A couple kinds. So they have a bird's nest type with pecans all over it. And then this more traditional shape with the triangles, I think has pistachios. So we'll try the regular triangle shape in Dorinac's grocery store bakery. Oh wow. Night and day difference in the taste. The phyllo dough is buttery. The phyllo dough is flaky and buttery tasting, but the goo is made with some cinnamon, so it's got much more flavor. It really integrates well with the honey that you can tell is there. The nuts are very present. And everything melds well together. So there's a buttery note to it, like not necessarily a flavor, but in the mouthfeel. So it could just be canola oil or some other vegetable oil for cooking. But that combined with the sweet nuts, the honey taste, the cinnamon, everything put together is such a great effect. That is wonderful. And ooh, it's going to be hard to pick up and manipulate, but this is a lot of thick goo, a lot of nuts on top. There was a pecan on top, and the other ones are chopped up so much it's hard to tell, but I think they're all pecans. The This is similar, but has a whole different character because there's so many pecans that they overwhelm them. They dominate the flavor. Sweet, buttery, less cinnamon than the first one, but a great combination. Buttery dough, great effect overall. Very worthwhile. So these were $1.25 a piece for a pack, 4-pack. And these from the grocery store were $1.75 a piece, but you can buy the piece. So you can get any collection that you want, any number that you want. And these were definitely bigger, heavier, had more stuff in them. So this is by far the better experience and worth the 50 cents a piece more. If you're gonna eat some calories like this, make it count. So this is good. The honey is a wonderful addition, essential ingredient in this one. Over here, it's hard to tell it was in there. There was a sweetener of some kind. That's about all I could tell. So I hope you got something out of that little compilation of different honey-containing foods that we're calling Honey in Cuisine. There's only going to be a couple more videos on the honey series before we switch over to black licorice. So stay tuned for honey, stay tuned for black licorice, and that's all for now.